when I go from this life. Let me go in peace. I don't want your marble at my head and my feet. Don't gather around me to weep and moan. 'Cause where I'm going, I won't be alone. The flowers you give me, give them today. Don't waste their beauty on cold, lifeless clay.
My name is Evie Ladin, and I'm a percussive dancer and musician. Let's see, I grew up in and out of New York City and suburban New Jersey, both of those places. And my mother was an international folk dance teacher, and that was her gig. She taught folk dance from mostly Eastern European, but also some American, some square dance. And when she was taking a clogging workshop at Wolf Trap in DC when I was 5 and my sister was 7, and I have a memory of standing behind her and learning everything she was learning. And it was Southern Appalachian clogging. And we would go to folk festivals a lot. My dad, his story is both my parents grew up in New York City, first generation, born there. And my dad went to a hootenanny at Carnegie Hall in 1958, and he went home and he threw out all of his original rock and roll records, his Elvis records. These things would be worth money now. And really just fell in love with Southern American music and other kinds of folk music. But dancing was always a really big part of it. And my sister and I really took to the clogging and Southern Appalachian step dancing, flat footing, buck dancing, goes by many names. And we would bug people to teach us. There were a lot of clogging groups around then. And our first gig was, I was 8 and she was 10, and we made up some routines, and we were on a bill with this awesome old hoofer Sandman Sims and the Greengrass Cloggers, which is a group from North Carolina that kind of busted out of the South and really influenced a lot of people. And this was like in the first folk revival. The upshot of it was that like our family's social life had a lot of music and dance, and it was multi-generational, and just really that's what we did for fun. I would help my mom on her workshops, take money at the door and stuff like that. It was just like around it, knew the dances, all that kind of stuff. And my dad was an economist, but he just like all of his spare time was connected to music events, concerts, dances, all of that. And so the other thing is that he really opened our house up to musicians and dancers traveling through the area. So there were always people staying with us, whether we liked it or not. And it was just sort of like a part of what we did. My dad put on concerts, and people would stay with us. And someone who's really well known in the old time music community, John Cohen, was staying with us and said, "You girls should play the banjo." And so at 8 years old, I started banjo lessons. And little did I know that that would really become a seminal part of my career. I really was sort of more drawn to dancing. Like I always played music and I was around music, and I feel like the dancing was always intrinsically connected to the music. Like there is no dancing without music. It wasn't a separate thing at all. And also the experience of people doing this live. The percussive dance is the drumming tradition in that music. When you have fiddle and banjo, whether in English or Irish music, they have that, or in American old-time music, there aren't any specific drums, and I think that part of that is also from the slaves not being allowed to play drums, that the foot percussion really is a real strong part of the music and is the percussive tradition. Mm-hmm. Well, the summer I was 16, I was at a music fiddle and dance camp in New York, and someone at the camp had just come back from doing ethnographic work in Ghana, and he taught us all these Ghanaian rhythms, and I was hooked. I felt like growing up doing this percussive dance and playing the banjo, it has such deep African roots, and the really understanding the different syncopations that really just came specifically from Africa really spoke to me. And soon after that, I was applying to colleges, and I was cheeky enough and ignorant enough that when I was accepted to Brown University, I said, I'll come if you let me into that West African dance class, drumming class, actually, in freshman year, because it was really hard to get into. And they did. And so I studied Ghanaian drumming for a couple of years, and then also, fortunately, one of the dance teachers there, they don't actually have a dance major, and I don't know that that's what I would have done. But they do, you can do an independent major. And I created my own major called African Studies in Dance. And I studied everything about Africa and all the departments, political science, anthropology, music, literature, all of that, African and African American. I was really looking at music and dance being a part of social communication, and the fact that this was my experience of what life is about, and then looking at the African roots of the music and dance I grew up with, and then exploring how intrinsic it is to life there. Fast forward then, when I graduated from college, I got a Fulbright to go study in Nigeria. I'd actually gone to Nigeria for a semester abroad. It was my first time out of the country. And I danced with a dance group there. And then when I went back on a Fulbright, I worked with 3 different ethnic groups and their dance companies. And it was an incredible experience. Pretty soon after that, I was invited to join this dance company, Rhythm and Shoes, that my sister was in. And it is a professional company based in traditional percussive dance styles. So we had a live band and 8 dancers, and we did clogging routines and some creative percussive choreography, body percussion. The cup game we turned into a piece then. It was like been popular forever. And so at that point in my career, I thought that I was kind of leaving that influence behind. So I danced with Rhythm and Shoes through my 20s, and at the end of that tenure, we did a collaboration with Keith Terry and Cross Pulse, who are from California, and within a few weeks of that collaboration, Keith and I were sort of over the moon for each other, and we joked that by the end of the collaboration I was in the other group. And to see if our relationship would work out, one thing that he did was hired me to be a part of Cross Pulse to do the Adventures in Music program that San Francisco Symphony puts on. And we did school shows in every elementary school in San Francisco. It was like 150 shows over 4 months. And that was my first time in the Bay Area, really. And so I got to see all these different communities. And the cool thing about Cross Pulse is that it's a quintet, and all 5 members have specialties from different parts of the African diaspora. So here was an opportunity, I think the longer you live, if you're lucky, things come full circle, like the things that really inspire you come around. So here was an opportunity for me representing like Appalachian culture and playing the banjo, but in a very funky context. And each person moves and sings and dances and plays and brings every show. Everyone brings a piece and we collaborate on each other's pieces, but it maintains the flavor of where they're from. So, and then since then, I still perform with Cross Pulse, but Keith is the director. I'm the executive director of the International Body Music Festival, and body music is really his wheelhouse. I mean, I have been in, when I moved to the Bay Area, I was in an all-gal old-time string band for 14 years that toured a lot. And I'm a songwriter, and I call square dances, and I do a lot in the old-time music community, which has little pockets all over the world. But then on the other side, working with Keith, creating this International Body Music Festival, which has been going on for 10 years, and engaging body music styles from all over the world, traditional and contemporary stuff, has just kind of exploded that side of my creativity. I mean, I'd always been, from the foundation of Hambone, from the foundation of old-time music, with all this other world music information, creating new works, whether it be in music or dance, or dancing while playing, or dancing while singing, or all of that, just kind of mixing it all together. I think after the festival in 2013, I was really inspired to do some skill development and work on my own chops, and that led to my own all-female group, Motor, which is we kind of call it a moving choir, and we're creating our own soundtrack, but we're also really moving in space and using voice. So it's very challenging material, but it's exhilarating. I do study different music and dance traditions, and what I try to do in my own work is incorporate it in a way that's not copying or representing something else, but is creating something new from my own creativity and experience. Being a woman in the entertainment industry, I mean, I work in folk music, so there's a little more leeway there, but I didn't realize that I thought my opportunity would always increase with experience. And like right now, I feel so fully capable of what I do and confident in my creativity and all of that. But the music business and the outside world is already looking behind me to the next generation. So that was a little bit of a surprise. I guess that's, my biggest piece of advice is to learn as much as you can about different styles and different cultures and the way the politics and the history of migration and immigration in the world has really affected music and dance styles and percussion styles.
One road